Most cities are known for what they create. Dublin is known for what it refused to change because the most recognizable drinks tied to this city didn't evolve. They didn't adapt. They stayed exactly the same, poured the same way, served in the same places, expected to taste identical every time. And over time, that consistency became the product. This isn't a story about drinks. It's a story about tradition, a beer that has to be poured in 2 steps, a whiskey that survived by not changing at all, and a drink that traveled the world without losing where it came from. A city that didn't chase new things. It made the old ones permanent. That's the part people miss. I'm Evan. Let's get into it. Number 10. Irish tea. Before anyone drinks anything in Dublin, they drink this. Irish tea isn't the tea most of the world drinks. It's assam heavy, built for strength, designed to cut through milk and still taste like something on the other side. Berries or lions, brewed dark before the bag's been in 30 seconds, topped with enough full-fat milk to reach the specific shade of brown every Irish person recognizes as correct. The debate between berries and lions is real, ongoing, and taken seriously by people who'd otherwise consider themselves reasonable. Tea in Dublin isn't a preference, it's a daily structure. Morning, after work, when something goes wrong, when someone arrives at the door, the kettle goes on first and the conversation starts after. It's the most consumed drink in the country by volume. It's never changed. Not the brands, not the strength, not the milk. Dublin starts every day with something that tastes exactly like yesterday. That's the baseline expectation that runs through everything else. Number 9. Bulmers cider. Bulmers has been made in Clonmel since 1935. The recipe hasn't changed. Irish cider, served over ice in a pint glass, which isn't how cider is traditionally served anywhere else, became a fixture of Dublin pub culture in the 1980s and 90s. Not sweet the way mass-market ciders tend toward, drier, apple-forward without being sharp. The over-ice pint format was a marketing decision that became a cultural standard. Once enough people ordered it that way, ordering it differently felt wrong. The format locked in, known internationally as Magners, the name changed for export, but in Ireland it's always been Bulmers. Always the same can, always the same taste. You order a Bulmers and you get what you got last time. That's what makes it reliable, and reliable is what Dublin trusts. Number 8. Irish coffee. Irish coffee has a complicated relationship with Dublin. The drink was created in County Clare, at Foynes Flying Boat Terminal, where Joe Sheridan made it for cold, stranded passengers in 1943. San Francisco perfected the technique. The rest of the world associates it with Ireland broadly and rarely asks which part. What Dublin kept is the identity. Irish whiskey, hot coffee, and cream are so embedded in how the world thinks about Irish drinks that the geographic details stopped mattering. Irish coffee stuck to Ireland the way certain ideas stick to places, not because of accuracy, but because of repetition. Dublin told the story often enough that the association became the truth. Number 7. Smithwick's Red Ale. Smithwick's has been brewed at St. Francis Abbey in Kilkenny since 1710. Oldest operating brewery in Ireland. It's not famous the way Guinness is famous. No global footprint, no ritual pour. It sits quietly on tap in Dublin pubs as the Red Ale, ordered by people who want more body than a lager and less weight than a stout. Consistent, unpretentious, not trying to be anything other than what it is. In a city where tradition is the default, a 300-year-old red ale barely registers as remarkable. That's how deep the roots go. Number 6. Jameson Irish Whiskey. Irish whiskey nearly disappeared. In the early 20th century, Irish distilleries were producing some of the most respected whiskey in the world. Then came the War of Independence, trade wars with Britain, prohibition cutting off American exports, and Scotch whiskey's aggressive global expansion. By the 1970s, Irish whiskey had been reduced to a handful of struggling distilleries. Jameson was one of them. What Jameson didn't do is the important part. It didn't change the recipe, didn't reposition as something trendier, didn't compete with Scotch on Scotch's terms. It kept making the same triple distilled blended whiskey, smoother, more approachable, consistent. By the 2000s, Irish whiskey was the fastest growing spirits category in the world. Jameson didn't win by reinventing. It won by staying exactly what it was until the market came back around. Dublin didn't save Irish whiskey by changing it, it saved it by refusing to. Number 5. Whiskey and ginger. The simplest drink on this list is the most telling. Jameson and ginger ale, ice, sometimes a lime. It became the standard introduction to Irish whiskey, the drink that converted people who thought they didn't like whiskey because the ginger softens the edge without hiding what's there. The whiskey is still the point. The ginger just removes the reason not to try it. Not sophisticated. Doesn't need to be. Every spirit has an entry point drink. This is Irish whiskeys, built by a city that understood accessibility and tradition don't have to conflict. Number 4. The pub pouring ritual. Most drinks get poured. Guinness gets performed, glass tilted at 45 degrees, filled to 3/4, left to settle for exactly 119.5 seconds, topped off with the glass held vertical. That's not optional, it's the technical requirement for the drink to taste the way it's supposed to taste. The nitrogen surge creates the cascade. The creamy head forms during the settle. The clean line between dark body and white top depends on the sequence being done correctly. In Dublin, a bad Guinness pour is a legitimate complaint. A pub's reputation is partly built on whether they get it right. Guinness made its own preparation inseparable from the product. You're not just buying a stout, you're buying a specific sequence that produces a specific result. That's not pretension. That's a drink that made how you make it part of what it is. Number 3. Guinness. Guinness has been brewed at St. James's Gate since 1759. Arthur Guinness signed a 9,000-year lease on the brewery. That's an actual legal document. The dry Irish stout has been essentially the same drink for most of those 265 years. The draft version served in Dublin pubs is the version everything else is measured against. When people say Guinness tastes better in Dublin, they're not being romantic. Fresher kegs, calibrated tap lines, trained bartenders, it's more controlled at the source. But the deeper reason is expectation. In Dublin, you're not just drinking a stout, you're drinking the one that defined the category in the city that invented it, from a building that's been doing this since before the United States existed. That context is part of the taste. Dublin knows this and doesn't try to explain it. Number 2, the Irish pub system. The Irish pub is the most successfully exported drinking environment in the world. Irish pubs in Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Abu Dhabi, built from prefabricated kits shipped from Ireland. Actual companies that design, manufacture, and install complete pub interiors globally. The dark wood, brass fixtures, bar layout, lighting, standardized and replicated. What the export sells isn't a drink, it's consistency. The Irish pub isn't designed to be exciting, it's designed to be familiar. You walk in and it feels like somewhere you've been before, even if you haven't. The layout is recognizable. The drinks are what you expect. The interaction follows a pattern you already know. 40,000 Irish pubs outside Ireland, all selling the same promise. The drink is almost secondary. What people are buying is the feeling that nothing surprising is about to happen. Number 1. What Dublin actually built. The pattern isn't creativity or scale or excess, it's expectation. Tea that has to taste exactly right or something's wrong. Cider poured over ice in a pint glass because that's how it's done. A whiskey that survived by refusing to change. A stout that requires a specific sequence. A pub environment replicated globally because the consistency itself is what people want. New Orleans built permission. Miami removed the brakes. San Francisco built revival. New York built rules. Dublin built trust. Trust is built the same way every time. Not by being impressive, but by being exactly what you expected. Again and again until the expectation is so embedded that deviation feels like a betrayal. A Guinness that tastes wrong isn't just a bad pint. It's a broken promise. That's the standard Dublin set. Not the highest bar, not the most innovative, the most reliable. In a world where every drink culture is chasing the next thing, Dublin kept pouring the same pint the same way and waiting for everyone else to remember why that matters. They keep coming back. They always do. New Orleans built habit, Miami removed the brakes, San Francisco built revival, New York built rules, Houston built collision, Dublin held the line. Every other city shaped their drink culture by moving, inventing, scaling, reviving, standardizing, amplifying. Dublin shaped its culture by staying still. The tea, the stout, the whiskey that didn't change while everything around it did, the pub that feels the same in Tokyo as it does on the Keys. Consistency is its own kind of power, not glamorous, not innovative, the kind that comes from being exactly what someone needed every single time they needed it. You don't visit a Dublin pub for a surprise. You visit because you know what's coming and it's always right. Drop a comment like which one actually got you. And if you're not subscribed, we've got more of these coming.